Hello, all right. This is Joe, your friendly neighborhood, have an epiphany, reach out and communicate that epiphany to the world guy. I'm joking. I'm trying to get that down pat, guys. But yeah. Anyway, I as I do from time to time, I will make a video on a particular subject of some sort or of some importance. Is what I'm really trying to say. And interesting enough, I was jogging, or yeah, I was jogging down memory lane of when I myself was younger, particularly when I had gotten out of the military, the Navy. And I remember, I kind of got messed up with my discharge. And so, as with so many individuals, at least those of the minority that I happen to be a part of, we try to make ends meet until we resort to going to the streets. I don't write rap, but that just seemed to come out like that. We try to make ends meet, and we end up, we try to make ends meet, get a job, live right. We end up going out on the streets. Anyhow, I knew what it was that I wanted to do. I really, not speaking down on anyone that does this, because making money to support yourself by any means lawfully, I'm definitely lined up with that. I ended up being a security guard. Now, prior military, that being on my resume, says that I am able to be an armed security guard. So that's what I did. I took the required courses, submitted the right paperwork for me to carry, own, and if need be, protect myself by the discharge of a weapon legally. Excuse me. I don't know why that came like that. But this is what happened to me. After I got all the paperwork, I actually went to a certain gun store to actually prepare myself for the licensure, I guess. It's a little class, armed guard training, going through the mechanics of pistols and target practice, all this sort of stuff. So, and it was interesting because I know I've mentioned this before, maybe in my podcast, that at the time that I was qualifying to get my permit to carry armed, that I also had Chicago police officers in my class. And I remember, we go through the fundamentals, particular weapons we had, which were 38s to say the least. The Chicago police could use their 9mm, their 45, whatever. But those of us that did not actively own a handgun, of course, they provide us with those. So we pretty much get in the range, and the instructor, I remember him speaking that, we got a target down, down that way. Say it like that. I'm trying to keep all these words and terminology uprange, right? And we want you to put the bullet on the piece of paper. Essentially, that's what the instructor was telling us. Noting that, and I'm paying close attention, as you know that I just stated, I took a course so that I may secure a firearm owner's ID card, Illinois. When I went to do that class, there were also Chicago police officers there. Coincidence? So anyway, we're on the range. The instructor, and me thinking about this now, the instructor says, just try to shoot the paper. Says to me he cared less about that. So I take a couple shots, not a big deal. And at a particular time, after doing maybe, I think I did a one chamber and reload, I raised my hand to get the instructor to come. I safety my weapon and all this and that. And I asked him, I said, now I know you just said that we can just shoot at the paper. Can we actually, can we do the bullseye? If you think you can, oh man, you ain't said nothing. I thought they was playing. He said, if you really think you can hit the bullseye, then you do it. That's what I did. We finish with the range. We get back into the classroom. They bring everyone's range target, hand them out with our names. Now, you remember I mentioned that there were Chicago police officers also in my class, allegedly to requalify. This is the statement that was made. When I got my range target returned to me after the instructor stated, if you think you can hit the bullseye of the target, then please try. Oh, you ain't said nothing. Remember I said that, right? So they give us our target back. Of course, they're going to show it to the class, and the class was a handful of people, 7 to 8 people, whatever. And they call my name. I go to get my target, and everyone's looking at it. I'm like, man, it's like what? It was like he said, just hit the paper, and I hit the paper. He said, no. Pretty much, let's put it like this. It's a video game for me. It is a video game doing that. I have very keen eyesight, very keen focus. That police officer, or at least one of them, said this or he made this remark. I would hate to run into you in a dark alley. This policeman was Caucasian. I understood what he meant. He understood that if he ran into me in a dark alley and this is a policeman against perhaps just a man of color, or as they, in that sense he was speaking, me being a man of color in a alley, a dark alley, is a threat to him. He would be in fear because the target that I showed him says that he's going to lose. That's what that meant. So this is real short. As I spoke, I said that I wanted to communicate. This is what I want to communicate. The mere notion that I should have did research. I could do this on my phone right now for craps and giggles, but I'm just going to keep this floating like it's floating. The mere fact that it, at least in the United States, and I've stated this before, it actually feels like this is another cycle, and I'm recognizing it, but I'm doing a few different things. The mere fact that prisons, institutions in the United States are private. If I was a business person and I know that there was underlying agenda to incarcerate a specific ethnicity or just a mass of people, I would too invest in a prison. They're privatized. Privatized businesses such as penitentiaries need people to be in them to make money. That should be against the law to privatize prisons, private citizens profiting off of the corrective measures so deemed as a result of some type of judgment. Any judgment brought against anyone, those people need to be housed by the judging factor, not an outside factor that is contracted. That makes no sense. This was in the Game of Thrones. If you can bring cause, I'm gonna chop this up, but the Game of Thrones, Jon Snow, if you can find a person liable and bring it to him, then you should also be the one to bring the axe down. If you can judge someone and find them guilty, then you too should be the one to bring the axe down, meaning you should be the one to house them and not a private penitentiary, which is probably connected to you, and you're shooting all these people that are being set up to go to prison. I see that as a clear violation, conflict of interest. Prisons should not be privatized. What's the difference with a well-known person? Oh, let's just say Bob Barker. The Price is Right. Is that what he came from? The Price is MFing Right? Bob Barker? Yeah, he owned prisons. Because the price is right. What's the difference with him and me? What's the difference with me owning them? If I have the funding, the backing, why can't I? Because I'm not in that group. That is a conflict purely. I see this personally. And I know that lawyers could see this also. It is a conflict of the judicial system to be privatized in housing the criminals that come out of the judicial system, finding them guilty and sentencing them, and then shipping them off to privatized institutions to house them. If you can bring judgment like Jon Snow, if you can find someone guilty, then you should also be the one to house them for whatever length of time that you charge them, not contracted out for their incarceration, the strikes against their life, to be a benefit to someone. I personally, I don't know nothing about law, right? I guarantee you, I can find something in there that say that's all wrong. I guarantee you I can find something if I dug into that. If you have judges and you have lawyers, this is a fun word for me, I've been saying it lately, having to excuse themselves or recuse themselves because they may be a friend to each other or some relation or conflict, something connecting them to anything dealing with a particular case, they have to withdraw themselves. Similar fashion, the privatization of prisons, penal institutions in the United States should be against the law. Period. period. When you try to make the incarceration of any person a profit to anyone other than the judicial system that found them guilty, you are doing so out of bias. Why? Because the very people that's going to reap the rewards of this privatization of prisons are the rich. They're the only ones with the good credit and the money to actually fund that. It'd be different if you said that, I'm just going to throw this out there. It'd be different if you said, well, you know, we got a private prison, but this private prison, the proceeds from it goes to funding public schools. Couldn't argue that. Could not argue that at all. And actually, as I think about it, that is like completing the circle. You start in public school, you go through life, you do life the way you're supposed to, or you don't. You go through the judicial system, they end up getting you in jail. The proceeds from you being locked up in jail goes back to the system that was supposed to teach you not to be there in the first place. Not to someone sitting in Florida in a retirement home. I'm just throwing it out there. Proceeds from lottery ticket sales, California, supposedly, goes to public schools. Really? That's fine, but really? You tell me people taking their money and gambling, trying to hope and wish on a star, the proceeds of that is going to public schools? But you don't see nothing about people being locked up in prisons and the proceeds from that going to public schools instead. Because that's where it's supposed to be taught. That ain't where you're supposed to be at. This is, I get it, but I don't want to get it. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like this is unspoken. One, people don't care to think about it. Or two, one and two, they don't give a F about it. And the fact remains that the system has continued to run on cruise control for so long. And as I stated before, something else, some other video or podcast, whatever, things run smooth for a while. Then someone got to go in there with some little oil, maybe a new fan belt, a chain or something, because things start to shake loose after a while. They do that for a reason. Nothing, nada is built to last forever. And y'all ain't gonna like what I'm about to say, but I'm gonna say it. Nothing is built to last forever, and that also means what you believe in. That also means your God. But if you don't understand how I'm saying that, then you may have a God that isn't built to last forever. Because I know mine isn't built to last forever, because mine has always been in existence. Those of you with a God that isn't built to last forever, your God may be made out of paper or something. So anyway, this is the point, hopefully I'm thinking, because I did mention public schools, I did mention the penal institutions, penitentiaries, I did mention Lotto, I did mention my gun card. The fact that a friend, I called him a friend, this was a gang member, I stated this before in a different video or podcast, that after we left the gun store with me just buying what I was going to buy, we stopped at a hot dog stand. And just as I'm sitting here, imagine that this is the storefront, and I got my hot dog right here in front of me, and we're looking out the window. We're looking out the window. Now we look out this window, I can see across a 2-lane street that there is a white car with red and blue lights on top of it. They weren't on, but I see it's a police or something. It's sitting there. It was like a Walmart, CVS, something like that. It's sitting, getting ready to come out. It was facing us, so we're on this side of the street. It's on the opposing side. We're sitting there, we're eating hot dogs, and he looks over at me, and he asked me. He didn't have his license. Okay, first let me say that. He asked me, did I want to drive? I kept eating my hot dog. I said, no, I'm cool. Didn't let him know that I saw the police car over there. I didn't let him know that, but I saw that. So he knew that he had to drive. Now we're leaving. He decides to make a stop before we get to his homes with the 2 pistols that I bought. He was supposed to buy his, I was supposed to buy mine. Luck would have it, he couldn't get his, so he gave me the money to get mine. We pull into a McDonald's like we're about to eat, but as he pulls into the McDonald's, he stops right before he gets into the parking area, and he jams the car in the park. He said, hey, I'm gonna go into this fish store right here, this pet store, and I'm gonna grab something for my fish tank. Just scoot over and just park the car. So he jumps out and he runs around the car to go, and as he does that, I scoot over to get in the driver's seat, and before I can put the car to drive, behind me, ATF, state police, running towards me, gun all in my face. Here we go again. They snatched me out the car. Where was my buddy? He ran out the car, remember? Remember, I said that when we got in the car, he said we should take the guns out. I said, no, they're fine. They're in my name. The ammunition in the glove box. The pistols in the trunk. We get to the hot dog stand. You want to drive? No, we good. That was the second red flag. Third red flag, he pulls into the McDonald's. He jumps out, said, just park it. He disappears to go to get, a pet store. Just as he disappeared, ATF, state police come snatch me up out the car. It's like I am a magnet for policemen putting their gun in my mother face. I'm a magnet for that. They snatched me, throw me all on the trunk. There was one African American. I believe he was state sheriff or whatever. Sheriff. They asked us, where the pistols at? Now I know the fact that they saw my partner, my friend, quote unquote, get out of the car and run into the store. I know they saw that because they pulled in right after he jumped out the car. They pulled in to make sure the car cannot go backwards, at least. There was no car in front of me, but I could not go out back. And these were unmarked cars. There was no cherries on top, none of that. These are unmarked. So they slammed me up on the hood. Where's the guns at? The gun's in the trunk. Where I know you got them loaded. The bullets are in the glove box where they're supposed to be, with the receipt, and my firearm owner's ID card. As a matter of fact, I didn't even have to state that. The one African American that was in that situation, the sheriff, he knew it was some bull crap. Because when they asked him, where's the bullets at? What is that? And the sheriff, I swear to goodness, the sheriff said, the bullets are probably where they're supposed to be if he got the guns in the trunk. And that's exactly where they were. They took me to the nearest police station, 54th and Wentworth, if I'm correct. Mind you, I'm going to tell you, this is like 30-some years ago. Wentworth, 54th, I think. 64th. Which one? 64th and Wentworth. I get in there. I have, they're detectives. They talking to me. They have me handcuffed to a, little thing. They said, man, dude, what you do? I said, I bought some pistols. Oh, you did? Yeah. I'm like, yeah. He said, how you do it? I said, I bought my pistol just like you buy your pistols. I went to a gun store. Really? Well, then I don't know, bro. He said, and actually, this was a African American officer. He pulled out one of my guns, looked at it. Oh, this is nice, man. Yeah, I know. I bought it. I told him, I said, I got everything I need. I'm former military. I have my gun owner's identification card, my FOID card. I have my receipt. We just left the gun store. I get stopped before we get where we're supposed to be, home. He said, oh, they messed up. I didn't, don't say nothing. I'm cool. So they take me in this other little room. I swear to goodness, this guy reminds me of Keanu Reeves. I swear to goodness, he was ATF. He says, we want to ask you a few questions. I plead the fifth. Nah, don't worry about that, man. I plead the fifth. I was out of there within 15 minutes. When I got out of there, who was waiting for me? The guy that I was with, who jumped out so he can go to the store. The guy who set me up to get my fire owner's ID, Illinois, taken from me. A gang member. So this is the focal point of the reason I made this. I was put in a position to lose my my firearm owner's identification card by an individual who was, by all measures and accounts, a gang member. It was a buddy of mine. We sold drugs, we drank, we messed with females, we got shot at, we shoot at. This is the person that set me up. This is the person that I would drop this person off at home so that people would not know where he lived or lay his head at night. I would drop him off. He set me up so I would not have my firearm owner's identification card, and if he did it, he utilized resources in the law enforcement community, which is the fraternal order. And if it's a fraternal order, then it's definitely going to Masons and Eastern Stars. And if it's going to that, then it's going to CIA and the government. So how can your run-of-the-mill South Side of Chicago have connections like that to make sure you don't have your gun owner's card? What's the purpose of this? You guys out there, you youngsters, maybe perhaps, you're looking and fantasizing, seeing how they glorify gangs and drugs and stuff on the streets. Listen to what I just told you. I got set up by someone who had a network of resources, and their whole agenda was to make sure that they have, excuse my language, that this nigga from the military could not legally have in his possession a firearm. And they carried that out by using someone that was your everyday type of person that sell drugs, gangbang, get shot, shoot at motherfuckers. Excuse my language. They used a gangbanger, I'm gonna call it like that, to go against someone that they were gonna pull in the fold, but they did not want this person the ability to have a firearm to protect themselves. And I'm not gonna say protect myself. They did not want me to legally own the ability to protect myself. Why? Because, as that police officer said, I hate to run into you in a dark alley, which basically, as I stated, I'm going to get you before you get me. I signed my life over to this country, and this is what I come back to. Them trying to take my ability to protect myself on streets that I knew nothing about, because I did not grow up on the streets of Chicago. I grew up on the suburbs. I grew up in the suburbs. Now, did that stop me from actually owning a pistol for protection? Nope. Was it lawful and legal for me to have in my possession a pistol to protect myself? No, it wasn't. Why? Because they made sure they remove anything that may say that I can lawfully and legally own it and have it. First, it was the first thing they did when I got out the military. Make sure he cannot protect himself legally. Again, this message. Youngsters coming up. You seen the rappers, the thugs, whatever, doing this and that, the gangbang, whatever, with this and that. Just pay attention to your friends, or whatever you think is your friends, because those will be the same ones, like I know in my particular case, or work with other outside resources or entities to make sure that if they want you gone and you're chosen, they're going to set you up. The thing about it that I'm starting to understand, one thing after another, and I'm so not happy, but I'm grateful to share this story, because I know that it is touching and being heard by certain individuals that need to hear it. What I'm telling you is an account that happened to me 26 years ago. No, it's more than that. We're talking about back in 96, 99, 93, matter of fact, 94, 95. This is when this happened to me. And the outcome, as I mentioned, that particular case, they took my gun off. They kept my guns. I legally purchased these guns. They kept them. And they took my fire owner's identification card. I never got them back. My card or the pistols. Never got them back. That happened back in 94, 95. That's just one account of things that were being in front of me, hurdles. Not knowing that there were things, entities, forces, whatever, working against me. And that these forces that were working against me had the assistance of organized gangs to facilitate this happening. Because as they would say, and some people, you especially youngsters, you may not know this, certain places you might have two different factions. I'm going to say factions. I don't like the word gang. You might have separate factions that they are at each other's throat, or they call it war. Okay? Now, when you get further up the chain to those two warring factions, you'll probably be disturbed to know that the people that run those two things, they're sitting somewhere at Red Lobster talking about business and money. While the two entities, factions that they actually have control over, are on the streets killing each other. It's a truth. It is a truth. And I only know that because, well, the people out there listening to this, y'all know why I know that. I'm supposed to know that. And the fact that I believe they allowed me to get in this illusion of some type of faction or whatever, because I will say this, that allegedly that faction doesn't exist anymore. Or the people that was heading the faction, they didn't change the name to something stupid. At least that's what I think. It no longer goes by the name that I knew when I was out there. It goes by something else that looks the same color as this screen right here. But anyway, reach one, teach one. Hopefully, whoever hears this that need to know, they will know. And those of you that may already know, but you really don't know, you have access to records. Go back into my military, go back into my arrest records. You see what I've been arrested for. I don't have to lie about rap sheet. I don't have no rap sheet. You can read my arrest record in a half a page. Hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. I can tell you. A lot of DUIs, a lot of driving without license, a mob action. The police in Chicago decided to lock up 3 brothers, said that we were a gang and we were committing mob action, trespassing. That's what you get with the mob action. Unlawful possession of 2 firearms within the city limits, this and that, and that was the last story I told you. So actually, to tell you the truth, that's not even half a page. You can get that in 3 sentences. That's me. That's my rap sheet. 3 sentences. I ain't got a lot. Oh, my bad. It's changed. It did. You got to throw in there the drugs, right? Because people get in trouble, get caught with weed, stuff like that. So, okay, maybe not 3 sentences, because I did later on in life. At this particular time when this happened, I'm out of the military. I have no record. Nothing. So what would make someone want to make sure that I don't have a fire owner's ID card and I don't have anything? I don't have a record at all. It will appear to me that that will be the type of individual that will be trusted to have a weapon to protect themselves and the people they love. Someone who just freshly got out the military and does not have a record. That ain't how they saw it. The fact that you don't have a record and you got a gun owner's card and a weapon, that means you could legally protect yourself and get off. Why? You don't have a record. So policemen come up to you on some bullcrap and they get the ups and you return and you lay them down. They want to use your record against you. You don't have a record. You got to have a record. That's what they said. So anyway, the particular time, I'm gonna tie this off right now. 40 minutes. This is aimed at individuals that see what is glorified on television. A lot of individuals that get involved with gangs, unlike myself but similar to myself. You seek out the companionship of others around the same age that may be in the same type of economical or family issues or whatever. Maybe it stemmed at a younger age for you than others. (11:11). Know what you do come with consequences. Know that also carries on to the company that you keep. You will be judged by the people. You will be judged by the company that you keep. And I'm going to say this because it feels real good for me to be able to say this right now. People that felt a certain type of way about me, I too judge people by the company that they keep. I was so in a rush to get that out. I too judge people by the company that they keep. People that wear masks presenting that they're like this, but behind the scenes you really dealing with people like that. I too judge people. I stay away from you. Keep wearing your mask. Things will happen, as people should know by now. To shake that mask and make it fall to the ground and reveal who you were the entire time. Believe that. Believe that 100. It doesn't matter if it happens in my lifetime or the next. It is going to shake loose. As everything that is done comes to the light, know that the light will shine even brighter during the daytime. What does that mean? The light will shine even brighter for a person that is trying to walk in their truth, that is supposed to be a beacon, as a model of how to conduct yourself, how to go about coming in contact with the higher self, striving to know that which is creator of all things. That person, their truth, you get in the way of a person that is on that light gonna be really bright. That's the light you're gonna see during the daytime. This all sounds so poetic, but to me it hits because there's so many different dimensions and twists and turns in my story. I'm trying to really keep it not, go over. Know what you do. Do only what you know. Know what you do. Do only what you know.